Hello and welcome to the 19th Planet Destiny podcast. Today it's just the usual cast of people. We have Tefty, we have Pope Bear, and we have Briar Rabbit, and we also have me. Varix might also make an appearance at some point during this podcast. I can't seem to talk today either. So, first off, I'd like to discuss what we couldn't discuss last week because it hadn't occurred yet as the time of the podcast recording, and that is the Trials of Osiris. Because I had so much fun doing Trials. So, Tefty, let's just go on with you, because I know you ended up playing like 6 cards worth of Trials of Osiris.
I tried to do 6.
You tried.
I ended up just doing 5. And I actually thought about getting some friends together on Monday night to knock out that 6th one, but it just didn't have enough time with videos and all that. Yeah, I had a blast. It was a ton of fun. There was a few games that we had on both sides, on the Xbox and also the PS4, where they were really close matches and they felt great, you know, like they really...
You had some really good ones on stream when I was watching.
Yeah, really fun matches, you know, and obviously, you know, for some people it might be fun initially to just wipe the floor with scrubs, but after a couple games that gets boring, you know, so when you do go up against real teams, it's a lot of fun, you know. I had a blast with it. That's my initial feeling. I'm sure we'll talk about the rewards here.
Yeah. Let's just go over our initial impressions of the actual game mode before we get to the sweet, juicy rewards.
I loved it. It was so intense all the time. Having the weight of the rewards kind of pressing down on your shoulders, as well as kind of earning those not only for yourself but for the rest of your team. It made each match, each kill, each round in a match so much fun and so exciting. It to me is now my favorite. It's my favorite multiplayer game mode anywhere. Yeah. You know, it's incredible.
It's extremely fun and it's so tense. All the moments there. God, just like thinking about how every time you start out a match or start out a round, it's like, okay, should I go to the same place I went last time, or are they going to be aware of it? Am I going to get counter sniped? Are they going to rush us really hard? You know.
What'd you guys think about, now that we've done a week of it, what do you guys think of it being the same map?
I love it. I thought it was really fun.
Why?
Yeah, I enjoy that because for that, as long as it's that one map for that one weekend and it changes, which, you know, it's confirmed that it will change. We don't know what it's going to change to, but as long as it's that one map, it really allows for players to get good at, you know, that one particular map over the weekend. If you're one of the players that maybe is only able to get to 5 wins on a card, the simple fact that the map will be the same, so you can, you know, adapt your strategies for that particular weekend to hopefully get to those 9 wins or something.
Right. I mean, I actually really agree with you. I really like the fact that it was the same map. At first, I thought it was going to be boring, redundant, but it's for all those reasons that you just stated. I loved it. I also found myself helping a lot of players out. I started out. I think my streak ended at 7 cards, so I'd done 7 cards flawless, and I was just loving it. I couldn't even believe it. But I felt like as the weekend went on, I played a lot of Trials.
Yeah.
The competition got better, and I wasn't sure if the competition got better because people were disheartened and just quit, or it was something in the background that was matching me up against better players.
I think the population changed from when it first opened up to Monday. You know, a lot of people probably try to get what they wanted out of it and then stop playing after that. And not everybody wanted to go to the lighthouse. Some people just wanted the chest, or just, you know, open up that silver package or something like that. You know, and if that was an achievement, that was an achievement. So I think by Monday, the landscape definitely changed on the population. You know?
What I noticed, like, so Miss 5000 Watts, Ian and I, we did that Bungie stream right when Trials launched, and what I noticed about our first opponents were, oh man, they, like, not to dog on our opponents, but a lot of them, like, were using level 300 Shadow Price. You know, there were some level 29s on there, and it's like, oh god, yeah. I feel bad. My Hawk Moon's hitting you for 107 headshots baseline. No luck in the chamber. Like, that's just rude. But as the weekend went on, it seems like the players, we were only going against people with 365 primaries. Everyone was at least level 33 that was going in. After I think Saturday, I never saw anyone below level 33. So it seems like people kind of understood that you really have to, you got to make sure your character's up to par before you can step foot in there and hang.
I'm sorry I missed that. I didn't get into play until Monday.
It was
Oh really?
Oh really?
Yeah.
it was like lambs to the slaughter.
It was literally, I felt like, because people know us, right? Like I ran into a bunch of listeners, and they would message me, just, hey, great playing against you. And I was like, the appropriate response I felt was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And not to say that it just felt like there was some people didn't really understand or have a full expectation of what they were getting themselves into. And I wasn't sure if that just information wasn't given out well enough, but I felt like some of the teams that we were going up against just were wholly not prepared for what Trials is about.
So I think a lot of people are going to have different expectations going into Trials too. Not everybody's going to be looking to get perfect scorecards on all 3 of their characters. Some people, and this was my initial reaction, I jumped on Monday. I didn't have any friends online, so I went on to LFG. I got 2 people, and we just started playing. And we got scorecards. We finished them off. We had, I think, 2 losses on our scorecard, and I was feeling pretty good about that. I got all the rewards that the Brother Vance was selling, and I was feeling pretty good about that. Later, Pope Bear, you sent me a message, and I got back in with you guys, and we actually did a flawless scorecard. But wasn't really my expectation, especially for the first weekend. I just wanted to check it out, have a good time. I got on with LFGers, so I wasn't really expecting expert teamwork here. But it was still fun, even with LFG. And then after I played with you, Pope Bear, I got on with my regular clanmates, the Milky Sirloins, and we ended up filling out 2 more cards flawlessly.
Yeah.
And that was a ton of fun too.
Mm-hmm.
With people that I was used to playing with, it didn't matter, is what I'm trying to say, that the first couple of times I didn't complete a flawless scorecard. I was still having a blast. And I hope that a lot of people's expectations is going to be, I want to get in there, I want to try and get to those 9 wins, or I want to try and get to those 8 wins so I can get all the rewards that Brother Vance is selling. And maybe the trip to Mercury is not within my reach right now, but hopefully one of these days I'll get there.
Sure, yeah.
It was definitely an interesting experience. Just the fact that after you got to that 9 wins, we didn't know what was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And if you just go watch our video that we put out, where we do a reaction video of the first time we get to go to Mercury, and oh my god, it was just so cool, like zoning in, this awesome cutscene plays. Why my guardian's covering his eyes from the sun, I don't know. I have a helmet on.
Yeah, you have a visor.
I have a helmet on that has no eye holes. But anyway, and then like you walk in, you explore around. I had music turned off, so it was just eerily quiet, and you can hear like little wind chimes just kind of tinkling around. And then you see this awesome, just awe-inspiring chest there, kind of like Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah. It's a really cool experience.
Yeah, it was a fantastic experience. I loved it.
And then there's a secret in there too to find, which I thought was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
There's a
Are you talking about the Grimmark card or the dead ghost?
Yeah, the dead ghost.
Okay, so I'm not going to tell you where it is, but when you find it, you'll be serenaded by wind chimes.
It's
nice.
Go look for it.
I'm a little disappointed because this weekend I have to go to a wedding, which is not a thing to be disappointed at all. But it means that I have pretty much no time to do trials this week, and I'm sad. I'm very sad about it.
So Patrick, should we tell him that was just a joke, right?
No, don't. We shouldn't tell them that it's a joke. They can't hear us right
not
now.
at all.
No,
No, okay, because I'm worried that people listening might actually be running
people have
around.
already turned the podcast off, Pope, and they're already
Oh,
looking.
they're already looking
They are-
like they are trying to get
There
there.
are Reddit
'cause-
posts going out.
you know-
Planet Destiny confirms there's a ghost on
Ghost in
Mercury.
You know, and to think if Bungie would do that, right? Because the reality is that there's not very many people that are going to make it to
less than
Mercury, right?
200,000 people actually got there. So
And imagine if a Grimoire card, was not accessible.
Well, you know what they would do? Yeah, like here's my thought. In the future, they might release new boons that would give even more favors. Like maybe one week they have something that grants, 4 losses or something. Like
Or
they might do that in the future to as the weeks go by to alleviate some of the player population having troubles getting to Mercury.
I highly anticipate them opening Mercury up in the next DLC to everybody, so everybody can go and check it out.
Well, it's going
Right,
to be
but-
it's going to be a
but you're not
playable
gonna get the
space for the
trials.
next. I mean, it's going to be the next social space. I mean, it has to be. There's no way that a company would spend that much
that was my thing.
time and resources on something for so few players and not have it used in some way that is
Definitely, yeah.
I think
Well, and also there's all these blocked off walls too. That are
Yeah.
like the Vex gates, like the Vex wall blocks that you bounce on, and those
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
lead to something,
Oh yeah.
But again, like if, even though they open it up to everybody, you're not going to get those trials weapons, And I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, because some of them are good, some of them aren't.
I mean,
aren't
so far all the
fantastic,
ones I've used are fantastic.
Yeah, which ones aren't?
ones
Because
are
everyone
good?
I've touched has been golden.
Well, yeah, I guess.
I'm
Well,
trying
yeah,
to think
I've had the
about it,
messenger.
like,
I've had the scout.
the auto
and I've
rifle
had
isn't that good
the
just
Jewel of
because
Osiris.
it's an auto rifle, but as far as auto rifles goes, it's
damn good.
king of the mountain there.
Yes, the summoner is
It's a
great.
fantastic auto
Yeah.
rifle. It's just too bad it's an auto rifle, but
Yeah, messenger's
Jewel of
fantastic.
Osiris is super
Uh-huh.
fun to use, especially I'm sure that you're having a ton of fun with it.
oh no,
Patrick,
I'm not
considering
because I
your
haven't
playstyle.
gotten it yet.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
you know what?
You want
It's
to?
a
We
silk
should go around and talk about how many of what we've gotten so far.
I want to break in here because I basically have met the best gun in the entire game. I just want to throw that out there.
Oh, you got a Hawkmoon?
I know which one you're talking about.
the Adept Messenger, or
Yep,
just the
I got one of
messenger.
those.
The messenger in general is absolutely out of this world amazing, and it's finally allowed me to put a legendary in my primary spot, and allowed me to equip truth in my or some an exotic in one of my other slots. Once you get used to the rhythm and the fire rate of that pulse rifle, one body shot and then the natural progression of its kick brings it up. The next burst will be a ba-da-da-da headshot, and wow, does it take the person down in 2 shots. It's just amazing.
Plus third eye and stability on it.
Oh,
It's
just crazy.
Just all the
Yeah.
all the stats on these weapons are just perfect. Like that, all the perks that you or all the perks that you can choose from are really good. It's like, oh, okay, I could go Field Scout here, or man, Perfect Balance would be really good too, or oh god, Flared Magwell is also really good, but the stats are all really good as well. So it's not like it doesn't matter what I pick, but they're all great options.
Yeah.
It's never like, oh well,
Well, it's
this is
it's really good for PvP.
yeah.
Like the PvP side of it is really good.
Yep.
It's not necessarily a PvE sweep all type
Yeah.
of thing, and that's what's interesting about these trials weapons. And what's interesting is how they have elementals on these. Even though they're PvP focused.
I honestly think the elements that were put on there are just put on there as like kind of a okay. If you only do PvP and you need an elemental primary weapon for whatever small PvE activity you do, here's a way to get it. If you happen to not run the raid or something like that, I think that's
Very true. I
Yeah.
did not
And they
think
work
about
well. They're good weapons
Yeah.
for
I
Prison
didn't
of
think
Elders.
about that.
The
Yeah.
365.
Mhm.
The Summoner. I happen to roll a Summoner with Void, and it's become my my
Oh,
go-to
I'm so
Void
jealous.
primary.
I'm so jealous. I need a void primary passionately.
show you that ATM on Zepalog. It's so good, man. JK.
Oh yeah.
So Pope,
Yeah.
what was the other 2 weapons you got?
So I got
From
the
Mercury.
right. So I got the messenger. I got the fusion rifle, and I got the shotgun, and I got a bunch of
Man,
them.
you got loaded this week.
Yeah, no kidding.
I got kind of lucky in my drops in from the chest.
I got like 3 versions of that auto rifle.
I did too. I did too.
I got two arc damage adept ones from the chest, so yay. I did get a solar damage scout rifle. The Scholar. That thing is a beast in PvP. 76 headshots
yeah.
or 73 or 76 headshots. And so
It's got the stats of Gillian's demise, right?
Stats of Gillian's demise, but stability through the roof.
Nice.
And it also has reactive reload with outlaw, so it's like, oh, I just headshot someone, there's someone else coming from around the corner, quickly reload, pop, 2-shot headshot kill on him. It's nasty. It's definitely a high skill
incredible.
weapon. But
I think some of the favorites that I saw that I really wish I would have run into is I would have wanted to see the rocket launcher and the scout rifle. Those are I got the pulse rifle, but my top 3 that I would have wanted to have seen is the pulse rifle, scout rifle, and the rocket launcher. But anybody get the rocket launcher?
no.
Oh
No, you got it.
yeah. I got 2 of them.
Oh,
Actually, I got one on the Xbox and I got one on the PS4.
Tell me
Pretty
about
happy
it.
about that.
What did you? What was the burn on it?
I got Void. I think both of them were Void actually,
Okay, that's
which is
good.
kind of interesting. Yeah. So I got. Actually, Patrick, were you done with rewards?
Yes, sadly. I got auto. No. Well, I did get the machine gun as well. So
Nice.
and that thing is just good. It's so good.
Infinite Theorem.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to try that yet. So because I got 2 systems, obviously I got more rewards.
Yeah.
But on the Xbox, I got the messenger with void damage. So really happy about that. I got that rocket launcher. I also got the summoner as well with fire. A little disappointing right there.
It won't be
what else did I
replacing
get?
my Vision of Confluence for PvE. I'll just state that Vision of Confluence is just too good.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
But
definitely.
The Scholar Scout Rifle is just a PvP monster.
I want the Scholar, yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely want that. That's why I'm so disappointed that I'm not going to be able to run these rewards this week. I also got the sniper rifle, Eye of Soul on the Xbox, so that's pretty cool. And then on the PlayStation, I got 3 Jewel of Osiris's.
Interesting.
Were they all 3 different?
No,
Burns?
it was
No.
void and then 2 arc damage. I was like, come on, I want solar.
So the thing about these things, right, is that I don't know how often I'll use some of these weapons. Like an arc damage Jewel of Osiris, I can't ever imagine I'll use because I've got Fatebringer.
I can see you using it for PvP just because it's a fantastic PvP hand cannon.
Except I'd rather actually use one that doesn't have arc damage. Well, maybe not for Jewel of Osiris specifically, but for like the Summoner or something with a lot of fire, is I find that the glow of the burns actually obscures some of my vision of the target I'm shooting at, so I prefer not to use burn weapons
Oh,
in
that's interesting.
PvP.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So some of these things, I definitely won't be using. I'm not going to dismantle them, especially right now when they're brand new. But I could see myself dismantling them in the future, like a Jewel of Osiris.
Like a
arc
week
damage.
from now, when my inventory is finally full from getting every single
kidding,
weapon in this
right?
game.
God.
It's
It's
intense.
brutal right now.
I'm trying to collect all the Trials weapons and then all the Prison of Elders weapons, not the Queen's weapons, which I'm just gonna have to nuke all my Queen's weapons now because I think I have all of them.
Why are all the Queen's weapons just blah? You know, they're just like
They're all terrible.
they're not terrible, but they're not
you don't like
great
benevolence?
either.
They're meant
You
to
don't
be
like her
reforged.
benevolence?
No, I don't. I feel like there's other guns that are better. There are other
Her
sniper rifles
benevolence
that are
is
just
like a
better.
tier 2 sniper rifle. It's good if you can get some decent rolls on it, but it's not worth investing your motes into. So I guess transitioning from Trials, we could talk about some of the loot that we just loot in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Queen's weapons, they're really meant to be reforged, and keep in mind you can get them from the level 28 chests if you have a treasure key. So there is a reason why they're there for players who might not necessarily be able to run the raid to get the Prison of Elders weapons from Varix. I understand why they're there. It just sucks that they're all kind of tier 2 weapons across the board.
They really are. Even if you reforge them to get exactly what you want, there's usually something that is already in your inventory that's better.
Yeah, that's true. Although I reforged her benevolence.
Well,
with,
I
with hidden hand and casket mag and surplus, and I was having a great time with it.
Her benevolence is what?
It isn't her, but
The sniper.
the sniper rifle. The machine gun. Wolfsbane. Let me clarify. Wolfsbane is actually a fantastic machine gun.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
so-
it
yeah,
has
that is
its
good.
downsides.
Yeah.
It has its downsides, but overall, I consider it. It competes with some of the best machine guns. So that's one that I'll definitely be keeping, so I can reforge it and toss it to one of my characters.
I just think that it holds its own in fire rate and damage and accuracy of like a swarm or a Yulner's hammer, but it doesn't have the magazine. It just what is it 23 rounds?
Yeah, it's pretty
and
low.
you get 50 on Yulner's hammer, and I mean, it just seems like
with Field Scout,
right?
You have Field Scout,
right. Yeah. But you can re-roll the Iron Banner stuff to get whatever you want.
I don't know if the Iron Banner stuff still has the old rolls on it. We might have to see how that works out.
Well, yeah, maybe you can't re-roll an Iron Banner one now to get Field Scout, but if you were fortunate enough to have one, already. I just ascended my Yulner's hammer, and I don't think I'm gonna find another, heavy machine gun that will beat it. And so the Wolfsbane, I feel like, is a close second to it, but it doesn't encourage me to level it up and use it because it doesn't have the clip that I feel like it should. So that's the only downside.
No,
for me
I understand that downside, and it's a very valid one too. But going back to the loot conversation, has anyone gotten like Prison of Elders weapons, like the Fallen themed legendaries?
Yeah.
Yep.
I can kill the snot out of some shanks right now.
I know.
Yeah. Some of those perks really confuse me. I mean,
I think it added a level of RNG that didn't need to be there on the weapons. It's like, okay, so one of the things, I killed Skolas, I think earlier today. I can't remember. I've been up for so long. But I killed Skolas on 35, and I got the hand cannon to drop. And I got the hand cannon, and it's solar damage. So, awesome. But it has shank burn on it. So, hey, I have the undeniable shank killing hand cannon with solar damage on it.
Because they do have solar shields.
Solar shields.
And they are dangerous.
But if we're going off like the damage that the other burns have put on the weapons, it's like, okay, like it'll do 50 more damage on top of whatever damage it does. So that's kind of weak overall. I'm not too happy with how those perks take up a perk slot. Those burns take up a perk slot on these weapons, and it adds another level of RNG that didn't need to be there. I know I already stated that, so now we're having to grind for that perfect PoE weapon, and it's
and they are not common on 35.
No.
They're not common.
No.
So it's going to be a lot of
like I ran 35 Prison of Elders I think 5 times last week, and I never saw one drop. This week
I didn't even know.
Most people
that they
don't.
could drop
It's
until
like a
this week.
1% chance for one to drop.
Yeah, another thing too is that the armor has these very interesting perks, like do more damage and have more armor when in a hive arena.
Yeah,
but you have to equip it before the encounter starts in there.
Yeah, yep.
And those are so specific.
Yeah.
And how are you going to collect all these for those specific encounters? Like, are you going to have a full set of armor for each encounter? I mean, I suppose that's technically possible, and you could do that. But I don't know if I myself personally would invest the time to try to collect all those individual pieces that also have discipline and intellect.
You'd be talking about 4 different sets of armor just for the Prison of Elders.
Yeah,
per
would
character.
you wouldn't have the room.
No.
Per character.
You wouldn't have the room because, I mean, most of the people I play with like to have a full set of Vault of Glass gear because it's awesome. They're not as attached to the Crota's end gear, but they still have it. So that's 2 sets of full gear. Now to add 4 just for the Prison Elders, plus the Exile gear from Trials of Osiris.
It's too much.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's too much.
It's too much.
It's too much.
They need to give us a bigger inventory, or they need to
Cool it.
make the Prison Elders gear a little bit better.
Cool it with the gear. I like the idea of having these really specific armor sets, but God, just all the burns, all the different perks, it's overwhelming.
Yeah, it's because they're so specific. You know, like having shank damage roll out of 1 of 7 chances is obviously it seems like shank damage is kind of weighted heavily because they don't want you to get these other perks easily. And
so there's Captain damage, there's Vandal
I have
damage, and
2 of my weapons have Vandal damage on them. It's like 2 or 3 of them have Vandal damage on them, but they're the ones that don't have arc damage on them either. I happen to have a sniper rifle with shank burn on it, so whoop-de-doo.
I've got that too.
Yeah.
Me too. I got one of those.
It's a cool sniper rifle, other than the fact that it has shank burn on it.
I like the sniper rifle. Its aesthetics and everything. It actually has a really high aim assistance, and then add the short gaze scope on it, and it's a really nasty one to use in PvP. The problem is it only holds like 14 or 15 rounds total. So,
Does yours not have field
no,
scout?
it has
on?
extended mag. It doesn't have field scout.
Okay, yeah.
So
you're right.
it only holds 5 rounds in the mag and then another 10 in reserve. So that's
But luckily, I've got plenty of special ammo.
Synth.
Plenty of it. Yeah. Do not worry.
copious amounts.
We have the special ammo every bit possible. I actually calculated I haven't calculated it. This is a gross, just absolute disaster of a generalization. If I used special ammo synthesis every time I was playing, and managed to reignite it every time that it was up, right? It would take me something like 8 years to complete. I might be over exaggerating.
No, dude. If anything, that's you underestimated how much time it takes.
Okay. Yeah.
God,
Somebody told me that they purposely deleted a character just to get rid of like a whole.
I have friends.
A whole 20
I
of
have
them.
friends taking the invective bounty and then getting to the point where you can turn in the special ammo parts for it.
Oh, that's brilliant!
Yeah, and then just nuking the bounty. They're done. They don't even care about the exotic shard after that. It's like, all right, I got rid of 50 ammo cents. Let's see if I can get another one of those bounties.
Done.
Yeah.
Done.
Hey, well, there is a workaround. You guys know that,
yeah.
right? And I think everybody who's listening should know that. It was posted on the Reddit forums, and I'm not sure who originally came up with it because I know it wasn't me. But if you have the stacks of special ammo synthesis, if you fill up your inventory, when you go in to go grind for chests, it will not send your it will send everything else you get. Like if you get a treasure key, you'll send it to the postmaster, but it will not send any special ammo, so you won't continue to gain more. It'll just burn off.
Yeah. So that's one of the good things.
Leave that
And
right.
I really like it how for some reason on my Titan, like I only get heavy ammo sense from those chests. From those ether chests. It's the oddest thing.
Ruined Wings?
That's
I
great.
don't know why, but it's just like, hey, here's some more heavy sense. I'm like, keep them coming.
All right.
That's great.
Speaking of Prison Elders, I've been using a ton of heavy ammo sets.
Yes.
For those shanks,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why you need the shank burn weapons. All the
So
shanks.
what I don't understand is, like, I'm looking at the Wolf's Leash, right? It's a scout rifle.
Yeah.
It has some pretty good perks on it. I like the scopes that it has on it. It has a triple tap, which I'm not too much of a fan of as far as on a scout rifle, but you can't re-roll these. So it's got triple tap, snapshot, custom optics, perfect balance. All right, so it's not great. It's sort of average. But then it's Mutineer, right? This weapon has a chance, of suppressing a fallen captain's abilities. What exactly are a fallen captain's abilities?
They're bullshit teleport. That they
Right.
do,
Yeah.
and
So
that's pretty much
you have
it,
a
I think.
you have a chance to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I just have a
It's not
problem.
very exciting.
No. I mean, I have a problem with this weapon being an RNG'd thing,
It doesn't feel like raid gear like we're used to it. It doesn't
No,
feel like
it
Crota's
doesn't.
End gear or especially Vault of Glass gear.
Right. Well,
No.
what can, I mean, think about it. What can be Vault of Glass gear? when I went to go, I got my first. I had finished upgrading my guys to 34, and I had the etheric light to start focusing on my guns. I went in this order: Fatebringer, Praetor's Revenge, Vision of Confluence, Found Verdict. What do they all have in common?
Vault
They're
glass.
all
Yeah,
vault
vault
glass
glass.
guns. So I mean, it's just something like they broke the mold. Maybe they did it too well in vault glass. But I find it very hard for me to replace a scout rifle, a solar damage scout rifle, with anything but Vision of Confluence.
I completely agree. What do you guys think about the ascending thing overall? Like, I definitely like that it's there because I can ascend the weapons I like to use the most and continue using them. But it also brings up the question: did they make some of these weapons too good? Like, Fatebringer, Vision of Confluence, Galahorn. Are we going to just see people trying to get those weapons, and then that's the loadout that they're going to use for the rest of the game, as long as ascending is there?
All right, Dado, you better not touch my Fatebringer.
I think that this is kind of like the last hurrah for the year one weapons. Like, suddenly we've started seeing this term year one, and I think this is going to be like a cutoff point with the Taken King. I think what we're going to see is a much bigger new set of weapons, and that will be at a higher level, and this old stuff will never be able to come up to it. And hopefully it'll be a significant enough jump that the Galahorn won't be the end-all, be-all. The Fatebringer won't be the end-all, be-all. That's what I'm hoping, personally. And I think that it's cool that we can now ascend the Fatebringer and, like, all our favorites, but get used to it, or don't get used to it, because I think that we're going to leave them behind soon.
No, I'm gonna. If that's the case, I'm gonna truly miss my easy button.
Yeah.
When you can't do the raid, use a Galahorn. When you can't do Prison of Elders, use a Galahorn.
Wait, but that means my Hawk Moon.
Yes.
Well,
Sorry, Patrick.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's tough to really forecast.
You have to think
because,
about.
for one,
Sorry.
the weapon archetypes have already been set up, and it's not like they can completely revamp these archetypes and then give us completely fresh new weapons on a whole new refresh. You know what I mean? So in a certain sense, I hear what you're saying about leaving behind the year one weapons, but in another sense, I don't really know how they're going to completely revitalize them to have this whole new set that we're going to then use. Like there's a reason why these weapons become top tier and first tier choices, because of their usefulness, and you can't have 5 top tier useful weapons in a way, because then it would just be like, well, what am I going to use right now? I mean, I guess I could pick that. I guess I could pick this. You know. You know what I mean? Like, it's a tough one to decide or talk about, because it's
My fear is that Patrick's going to be using a Hawkmoon for the next 10 years, and I'm going to be using a Galahorn for the next 10 years. Like, that's my fear. Destiny will get old and stale if we're just using
I completely
same
agree.
3 weapons for the next 10 years.
You guys know I'm always on the search for that new sniper rifle, and as much as I love my, fantastically rolled LDR with ambush, surplus, field scout, and final round, at the same time, I'm like, man, I'm getting a little bored of using this exact same sniper rifle in every single PvP match. Yes, I can change it up and whatnot, but when it comes down to it, like, this is the best thing I've found, so I want to continue using it. And I'm really hoping that, they introduce some new snipers, introduce some new weapon types, make me question why I'm using Hawkmoon or Thorn or Last Word in PvP. Make some other weapons that are, on the same plane of existence as these.
Well, okay, here's what they're gonna have to do. If that's gonna become a reality and satiate our appetites for new weapons, they're gonna have to rebalance these things heavily. Because that is, as it is right now, it's like with Vault of Glass, they broke the mold. They hit a level that is arguably a little too high. These weapons are too good from the get-go. And now PvP, the hand cannons are too good right now. There's too many 2-hit kills. They're honestly going to have to bring everything back and rebalance it with when they introduce a whole new, like, Year 2 or Destiny 2 type of infrastructure. And if they're going to put away these older weapons or these current weapons and make those old, then it's going to be a giant shakeup if they're going to do that. But again, I don't know how many people that's going to piss off and whether or not Bungie thinks that's a good idea. So that's why it's really tough to speculate on this.
They don't have to disappear. Like, you can still use them in regular Crucible, and they'll still perform the same way they always did. But when you bring them into Iron Banner, now maybe they're 3-shot kills because they're still at level 365, and all the new gear is higher level, you know?
Don't worry.
But would that make
Briar,
sense
they'll
for somebody
find a-
who?
They'll find a way of increasing the damage of the dot on Thorn, and it'll be relevant again.
But here's the problem with that, Briar. Let's say somebody gets Destiny 2 in in 2 years or whatever, a year from now, and they don't have access to getting the Thorn bounty because it's been relicked. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But these people with thorns can still go into the Crucible and 2-shot you. Wouldn't that be weird? You know? I don't think they can keep these weapons the way they are if they're going to push the momentum forward with new weapons. You know?
One thing that you have to consider is the PlayStation exclusive weapons are rumored to be coming to Xbox with the Taken King. That's the big that's the big
September,
rumor.
October, yeah.
So are they going to come out and immediately be like, oh yeah, by the way, they're never going to be able to be upgraded or something like that? If we're going off what Briar was saying, how after year 1, we're going to have year 2 weapons, and those are going to be able to go higher attack than the year 1 weapons. I think we're not going to. I don't think we're going to see a complete weapon change or weapon system change until Destiny 2. I think.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think Taken King would be too soon for it. Yeah.
Ultimately, they have to limit our power as Guardians. Otherwise, we'll just be able to walk through any content they can provide.
Let me put in that World of Warcraft reference. I actually made it. I had two viewers last podcast, or 2 viewers say that I didn't make a WoW reference last podcast, so I get to make one this podcast.
No.
yes.
I'm gonna weed them off slowly.
We had it.
I was actually thinking about pulling it out of you this podcast. It looks like I didn't have to.
So in original World of Warcraft, there were these legendary weapons that everyone was like, oh my god, are there ever going to be any weapons better than this? And then going into the next expansion, those weapons were they were still really useful and good, but then you start seeing some really cool new ones come out, and the other ones fall to the wayside. Eventually, power level just overtakes them. I fully believe that Bungie can make weapons that's on the same power level as our current tier 1 weapons for Destiny 2 or further on. I fully believe that they're capable of that. I think they just need to, realize what power level they need to make these weapons at. Because right now, it feels like all of them are at kind of like a lower baseline level, aside from the Trials of Osiris weapons. All of them are at like this really safe level. They're all like safely tier 2 weapons.
Mm-hmm. Even the perks aren't as good as they were.
Like, say you want to get all that increase.
I think that's a step in the right direction.
It is a step. I like what they've done with the new perks, where it's like, oh, well, you want brace frame, you want more stability for your weapon. Well, you're gonna have to sacrifice some range for it. So let that be a choice. Is if that's what you want to make, then okay. So that's what I've been dealing with, like trying to find that new sniper rifle. I got a low grade humility finally. With increased target acquisition, brace frame to increase the incredibly low stability on that thing, and then performance bonus to give me ammo from reserve, or put ammo in my reserve from kills. And it's a great little weapon. I like it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't beat my old LDR. It doesn't beat the old Prey's Revenge. It doesn't beat Final Round Effort Eats.
And the only way to move on, though, is I think they see the direction they want to move in with these newer perks that, make you choose things as opposed to just having an overpowered weapon. But the only way to move on from here is to leave that old stuff behind. Otherwise, everybody's just going to keep upgrading that LDR.
And I will continue upgrading it. Like, that's the thing. Is
with good reason. It's good,
Well, and also, I think there's a time frame, obviously, for that. And 1 year is too soon, in my opinion. I really think that if you started playing in September, and then 1 year later, all your weapons got relicked and you can't equip them anymore or something like that, or I think that's too soon. 2 years, I think, is a good time frame, because it's been enough time, there's been enough expansions, and you can get sick of those weapons and be like, I don't really care about the Gallhorn anymore. It's okay. I want a different rocket launcher.
So for exotics, I agree with you, but for legendaries, I don't. For legendaries, I thought it was perfectly acceptable when the new Crotazen gear came out that, the older stuff got kind of dustbin, except for the Fatebringer, which was still arguably the best PvE hand cannon in the game, just because of the perks it had. but I was okay with it. Those other guns just kind of, falling by the wayside. Now I'm using the newer Crota Zen gear, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
With the exotics, I can see your point, but for the legendaries, I feel like it's okay to leave those behind.
I think we've probably discussed the issue enough at this point.
Okay.
We all have our weapons that we really like. We want to keep them around, but we do have to kind of surrender to the fact that, yes, this game would get stale if we had to keep using Fatebringer all the time.
One more point.
Okay.
One more point, then we'll set it aside. The raids are a little bit different because they're specific cherry-picked weapons that the designers came up with. The Vanguard weapons, though, they have rolled on by. So, you can't get an LDR anymore. And that is their method of saying the Crucible and Vanguard stuff, we were wiping those every content season, or every new piece of content that comes out. Every paid content, in other words. So they have done that in a way. But the raid weapons are kind of relict in that, or not relict, they're specific to that experience. And that's why I don't think they're going to necessarily roll those out, in a year and say, sorry, Fatebringer. Like, I think they're going to give it a little bit of time. So
yeah. So moving on, I did want to kind of discuss Prison of Elders this week. We had a gentleman's agreement before the podcast started not to get into too heated or long of a discussion about this, but we have so Skolas is the level 35 boss. He's always there. His modifiers may change, but it's pretty much he's always going to be there. He's the boss for level 35. And for 2 weeks now in a row, he's had an elemental damage burn on his encounter. First week was solar, and this week is arc damage. And so both weeks, we've seen certain strategies or cheeses, if you want to call them that, of people just bursting him down, burning the crap out of him, and effectively negating all of the mechanics in the fight. The only mechanic you really have to do is kill the servitor at the start, and then do enough damage to Skolas before you die from the mines. How do you guys feel about just the encounter overall? But before we get into the discussion of is this a cheese or not, how do you enjoy the encounter if you've actually tried to do the encounter, as it's designed, as it's intended? Yeah.
Last week, I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
This week, I find it almost so difficult that there's almost no point. Because it's arc damage, because so many of the enemies are dealing arc damage, to be running around in that arena, you're very, very likely to just get kind of picked off by a sniper. Mm-hmm. Last week, I thought it was pretty fun, so it may just depend on the types of modifiers that are in that arena. What's it going to be like when there's no burn damage? Is it even going to be a completable encounter?
Yeah, I genuinely think it will. So, like, the reason I asked this is Dado invited me to a party last night, and we just beat our heads against a wall for 2 hours to figure out a strategy, because the reckoning is coming. Believe it. There will be I'm sure there will be a week where there's no burn, no damage increase at all. It's just going to be like grounded or guardian melee damage increased. So something like that, something that doesn't really apply to the fight that well. You have to have a strategy to beat Skolas. You can't just be like, okay, we're gonna Gallahorn him until there's no more Gallahorns left to Gallahorn him with.
There's
always more Gallahorns.
Always. There's always a 5 second or 5 minute cooldown.
And so we ended up figuring out a strategy, and Dado kind of already had the strategy thought out, but we made some tweaks to it and ended up, like, I'll have a video out on it because it's too much to explain, but it's a very intricate fight to properly do it without doing the whole burn strategy. You have to be on top of when all the ads are going to spawn, because those are the real threats. Skolas, I mean, he's kind of just a slow moving teddy bear with a really big rocket launcher for the most part. Just avoid him and you'll be fine. But the ads are what killed us 90% of the time.
What you did this week with
the
the
Arc Burn? This week with the Arc Burn.
And you were
able to complete it like without doing the burn strategy that we know of, where we all use Fourth Horseman or Thunderlord or Patience in Time and just nuke the crap out of him. We did kind of burn him a little bit at the end, like we got him in a good enough place where his health was low enough that we just said, okay, take him down from here. and all just chunked his health down as quick as possible. But the second mines were up at the current time, we were defusing them, yada yada yada. If you just stay on top of killing all of the ads and get a good sense of pace for when the ads are going to come out next, then you can reliably complete that encounter. It is possible to do it. It took us, I think, 11 minutes to actually legit do the encounter. That being said, though, I really prefer just to burn the crap out of him every time because it's brutal.
I prefer to do it the right way. I mean, burning the crap out of them, it's okay if you're just there for the rewards. But to me, the fun of the game is actually doing all those mechanics. And, that's why I think Crota's End got to be so boring at the end, because it was just, stand here, do this
Purely
over and over
mechanics.
again. Yeah, that's all it was. Where Prison of Elders feels like it's much more dynamic, where when you're on your first playthrough and you don't know what the next, round is going to be, it's just fun that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like just standing there and shooting Skolas in the head with a Patience in Time.
I agree.
But,
Yeah.
it is tough right now.
It really is. One thing that I do think they need to address is the level of everything in there. Okay, so when we had Broman on, he was talking about delta scaling, which is essentially, making the mobs a higher level than you, and that's how you're gonna change the difficulty. While I agree that it's okay to do that for the boss, for the unending, unrelenting waves of ads that spawn during the fight, that's a cheap move. And it's
tough.
It's not really fair to the player to be like, okay, here's arc damage. Oh, by the way, all the mobs are a higher level than you, will not die to a single melee hit. It's not an interesting way to design your encounters. So if they brought those down to level 34 to make it easier for us to manage those along with the boss, I think it would be that people would start seeing the encounter as less of a, oh god, we have to burn him because it's a burn strategy, and more of a, okay, we can legitimately learn how to do this now. Have you run level 34 this week as well? Quadron, the Vex Chronivore.
Ugh.
Enjoy it, Guardian. Yeah, so what do you think about that fight overall?
I like how what they're doing with the stuff. I like the ideas behind it. Some of it doesn't quite feel completely thought out, though. For instance, we honestly shouldn't be able to just burn them,
Yeah.
But we should have to go through certain parts of the fight to make it happen. But it's not set up that way to trigger with Tanix, he gets immune points and then he goes on to the next part of the strike. It would make sense if they did that type of thing to it. It would obviously make everybody have to do the encounter, but at the same time the shields were buggy, and if the shields are buggy, that means you can't go to orbit and come back in to reset the game world.
That is
because there's
that
no
is one of
checkpoints.
the things I would really wish they would change about Prison of Elders. Is I fully agree that they should design an experience that could be completed in an hour and easily if someone has that much time. But the cold hard reality is a lot of people, they may be able to complete it in an hour, but sometimes they can't. And they would they don't have the time in their week to be able to devote 2 play sessions to this. They may only have an hour. They want to get to that level 34 with their friends that happen to be online. And maybe if they knew that they could come back and have, I have a checkpoint for the very last boss, can you help me kill him? I really think they need to put something like that into the game for Prison of Elders, because like I said, I understand why they're doing it, but for the community's sake, I think it needs that needs to be there. Like the raids have those checkpoints.
It's because of the difficulty scaling. The encounters were designed with raid-like intensity for 3 people.
Yeah.
So the health bars are kind of set up for 3 people's worth of damage, but the encounters or the actual way the encounter is set up makes it it can go for much longer than an hour, because you might not be getting the strategy down, and that's kind of a problem, because you can't take a break and regroup in 30 minutes because you're going to get kicked to orbit.
Exactly.
So Skolas it's either all or nothing with Skolas.
And Quadron, what you're saying about the the bubbles or the containment fields, and
Uh-huh.
they have the Eye of Quodron, right? This
Yeah.
one goblin that walks around, and at one point after I don't know, probably 3 or 4 tries, we just instead of actually attempting the fight, we just set up our guardians in 3 locations around the map to try and figure out, is this guy actually spawning every time? And the answer was definitely not.
Really?
Like, yeah, we were around, and this guy just sometimes didn't show up.
It seems like this. I'm hearing so many different reports from it. Like it's a little bit buggy. The main problem that people are saying is that there's that guy doesn't show up. The bubbles don't break, and it sucks. I've only done it once, so maybe I'll get unlucky on my next playthrough or something.
Well, you know, in the Templar, when you get a bubble that is unbreakable,
I've never actually had that happen.
well, sometimes as a relic holder, you can get surrounded with a containment shield, and you will not be able to ground pound and break it. It's like invincible. And then if you try to dash and break it on this edge, you pop out of it and you die. Yeah, I think it's a similar bug.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, see, like what we did, I did it on stream for the first time, and people in the chat were like, "Oh, it's going to take a while for him to beat it." It took us, I think, two attempts to wipe on it to figure out what we needed to do, and then after that, we did it next attempt. What we did is we all just went over to the left side of the room, because that's where we're most familiar with doing a lot of the encounters in there. It's easy to defend. Yeah, everything just worked out for the most part. The little goblin came out every time. Pro tip, shoot the head off that Quodron goblin, and it'll rush towards you. So you're not stuck like trying to snipe him from across the map.
So I also encountered another bug in there, and it was that there were far less ads spawning. Really? Yeah, which makes the fight still difficult, but much easier than it normally is. Normally, you've got so many snipers kind of pinning you down that you need 1 or 2 people just taking care of ads kind of full time.
The ads do feel a little bit overwhelming in that fight. You really have to manage your time between, okay, do I go for the ads? Do I go for Quodron? Or do I just sit back and let my health finally regen after these couple seconds? And yeah.
But I've seen this on videos, and I've also seen it for myself, where it just feels a bit easier this time because there's not as many ads.
Interesting.
And you've seen the hive room where you can kind of stay far left, and it won't spawn the hive until after it kind of almost feels like something is going on like that, but I don't know if it's repeatable, and I don't know how it works.
So another pro tip, if you're a hunter and you have Celestial Nighthawk, it works really well in that Quodron fight. If you're the one that gets the buff, you can pretty much annihilate all 3 shields with the overpenetration that on people. So that's another thing to look forward to. What else? But yeah, the Quodron fight is one of the interesting things. The community has been... It's one of the few fights, I mean, you can't cheese it. There's no cheese for it, and aside from some of the bugs that happen, you have to 100% complete the mechanics for it. And it's been interesting to see the reaction from people on there. It's like some people think it's too hard. Some people, obviously want the bugs fixed.
If you burn them with Gallahorn, you don't have to do the containment shields.
Really?
No, you don't. It skips past it.
Huh.
Yeah, you can just walk in and burn them.
Yep.
I think we tried that, where we tried to actually burn him, and it looked like it wasn't doing enough damage. I don't know. So we ended up just taking... I think it took us...
Did you do 42 rockets?
No. Is that how many rockets it takes?
Yeah, it's just like Skull's last week. It burns them.
Huh. Well, that's good to know, I guess.
Well,
it's good to have that one in the back pocket.
Yeah.
Just in
it's
case.
good, but also it does bypass the mechanics, but yet some of the mechanics are broken in a way from time to time. So yeah,
okay.
It's a larger discussion.
You don't like the way I designed my encounter, Guardian. Maybe.
Varix, why do you do it?
So, I heard some interesting stuff in the reef the other day. Apparently, Varix, like, he posts all these fights, or he posts all these Prison of Elders encounters. One of the guards by Petra was apparently watching it, and she's like, "Are you watching, one of those Varix prison encounters again?"
Varix is running.
Yeah, he's like totally running a TV network in the background. He's like, Ratings are down. Must increase modifiers this week.
He's
Oh my
fun to
gosh.
listen to. He asked me where my ship it was and how good a condition it was in. Like he was gonna go steal it.
I love how snarky he is. Every time you zone into the Prison of Elders, he just goes, "Impress your warden." Yes. Like he's an interesting character.
He's great. I love that character. I love how I feel like he could be a double cross bad guy in the later DLC. Varix turns bad, releases all the Prison of Elder enemies.
You know, they set this guy up as he's Varix the Loyal. Get Judgment's Chance Guardian. I only know how to roll strength on some of this gear. But no, like they set this character up as the Loyal. He's totally going to be loyal to you. You can trust him. Like in that one Borderlands DLC, the title screen is like, here's this person. They're totally going to stab you in the back.
Yeah.
That's the way Varix feels right now.
He totally does. Yeah.
If you read his...
It's a great character.
You know what? I want to... Let me find Varix's Grimoire card real quick. Before I get into it, one of the things that he always says is, like, House Judgment must survive, yes? Something tells me he's just always playing this game, like Game of Thrones. He's just playing it so he can survive his house. Do we know if there are more people like in House Judgment?
I think we know that he's the last, I want to say.
Oh, really?
I can't remember.
You don't think there's people like helping him run the prison? He's solo. He's hands-on with that project.
You see that staff
I don't know.
that he
He
has?
spends a lot of time in the reef. It's hard to say.
Judge, jury,
Yeah.
execution.
Yeah.
So, should I read it in Varix's voice?
Yes.
Yes.
Sure, yeah.
They call me betrayer. They do not think I hear the words bug, insect, fallen. I hear. House Judgment always hears. No choice. Has to. To keep houses together. Had to. First the great machine, then sky fell away. Whirlwind ripped away the past. All honor lost, all hope. Judgment not enough. Cannot keep wolves from kings. Scar from winter. Fell to fighting. Fell to hate. Judgment gone. Others slaughtered, slain, death and docking. Keep Elixni together, lost to pride and rage. Traveled with the many houses before wolves, we move across the dark. Follow the light, advise Kells, worshipped primes. House Judgment must survive, yes. Found the light, too bright in darkness to hide. House Winter, attack. House Devils, plot. House Kings, plan. House Wolves, circle. House Judgment, wait. Now at war, fight for systems, control the belt. Wolves Kell dead, dying. Skolas wins control of House Wolves. Attack, attack. Place of learning, place of healing. Put to the burn. The siege of Pallas, year of cruelty, held the line to rescue butchers, murderers, servitor. Ends with wolf fleet scattered. New tactics, detonations, blasts in civilian areas. Take the fight to them, he said. Cannot abide the hate. Uprising, they called it. Uprising on Cybele. Reached out to crows, to queen. Cybele attack stopped. Skolas captured. Ended House of Wolves with words. Paladins find me hiding, cowering. Nowhere else to go. No one else to be. I become Varix, the Loyal. House Judgment envoy to Queen of Awoken. No choice. House Judgment must survive. Yes. So yeah, that's his Grimoire card.
That's crazy good.
I love his. Yeah. I love his diction. Just very short staccato bursts of statements and how he.
It's fallen translation to English.
He's such an interesting character. He's totally gonna stab us in the back.
They definitely set it
He's
up
totally
in
gonna
there
stab us in
to
the
be.
back.
Oh yeah. We're screwed.
vengeance.
We're screwed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's no way.
the Taken King. He's going to be the one that takes the king. Totally.
But I need my judgment's
Dude,
chance.
I want to gamble. Varix, where are you at? Talk to one of the crows.
Yeah, very interesting. I'm excited what they do with this character, because we're definitely going to see more of him.
He's a plotter, that's for sure.
Do you guys think that we're going to have to wait till Destiny 2 to get back to the main storyline?
Well, what do you consider the main storyline?
The Traveler, the Speaker, possibly the Stranger.
See, the way that I feel that Destiny 1 was set up, I'm going to end up making a World of Warcraft statement. I know I am. But the way Destiny 1 feels like it's set up is it's introducing you to each of these enemy types, you know. The first one we had the Vex. Next we got to get more intimate with the Fallen. Now we're really starting to know, or the second one was getting to know the Hive. Now we're getting to know the Fallen a lot more. Eventually we'll get to know the Cabal some. And once we really have an idea of how these enemies are relate to us, relate to the darkness, what types of threats they present, start to build their storylines, then that's where I feel the story is going. As far as the Traveler itself, all that we really know is that it's dormant right now, and you know all of these things are enemies of the Traveler. So technically, I guess we're still fighting for the Traveler, but I'm not sure if we're gonna see anything related to just the Traveler itself for quite a while. And the World of Warcraft reference would be vanilla World of Warcraft. We were basically introduced to all the enemy factions out there in one way or another, and then each expansion kind of started to build upon all of those.
Crota's End very much feels like a side story, you know, dealing with Varys, dealing with the Hive. You definitely get the Hive kind of alien race kind of fleshed out, which is great. And then this one, you're right, it definitely deals with the Fallen. We get to meet Varix, we get to go to the Reef, but it definitely deals more with Skolas and like kind of this side story of like the uprising on the Reef of the Fallen. But I don't feel like we're actually moving the story forward. We're just we're more exploring like side stories.
Okay. Well, it's part of the season pass again, and I think the season pass is never going to push the main storyline forward. Mm-hmm. It's always going to be major expansions or Destiny 2 that's going to possibly push that Traveler / Stranger, Speaker, You're the Guardian, Become Legend thing, push for that forward. You know?
Yeah. Did you guys see IGN had an article today that the Fallen King will be at E3?
Yes.
Did see that, yeah.
So that'll be. I'm excited to see what the hell they'll be presenting at E3. That's for sure. I want to know more about this new expansion. Even though.
So are you're planning on going, right, Patrick?
Maybe. We're still not entirely certain. So hopefully I'll be able to go. I think it would be really cool to show up there. But if not, you know, we'll be covering it like we always do, just maybe not from there.
Well, you have you can stay with me. I'm gonna head down there.
I'm the big spoon if we have to share a bed.
Deal. I mean, good. Right?
Yeah, totally.
If you can only use Varix's voice though. That's
sleep, Guardian.
Bucket of ice is empty. Yes.
For the entire, if I go for the entirety of my time at E3, I have to speak in Varix's voice to the point where Bungie's like, damn it, okay, fine, we'll hire this guy to do Varix's voice from now on. Bartender. Another Sazerac.
Or die.
Or die, yes.
Perfect.
Love it.
Perfect.
So, one of the new things, or not one of the new things, God, Patrick. What's coming in the weekly update, on Tuesday, that's what I wanted to say. On Tuesday, the Iron Banner is finally returning. So, we get to see the first Iron Banner of House of Wolves. He's going to be selling the boots, the gauntlets, the fusion rifles, the scout rifles, and for all of you that don't have House of Wolves yet, he will be selling Etheric Light. So you can finally get to level 34 without actually owning House of Wolves. Well, you'll be able to get it at rank 3 and 5. So yeah,
you would still need
you
need
well,
one more.
if you had multiple characters.
If you have multiple characters, you can grind it
you
up.
get to send one of your
Yeah.
Because
if
you need two.
If he's got
right? 3.
armor and 2 etheric light, then you could probably do it, right?
I don't know if the armor is going to be light level 42. I don't know.
It's a good question.
Should be. It went up with
Dark Below.
Dark Below.
Yeah, so we might see it. We might see it.
But you still had to unlock it, though, and spend the Ascendant materials. So this one, the ones that come naturally 42 are Raid or Trials and also Prison Elders end gear. But the other gear, you still have to unlock with Etheric Light to fully ascend.
Yeah, you're right. I bet you're right.
Yep.
Well, the other changes that are coming are the lower-ranked Guardians on your account will receive reputation boosts to catch up to your higher-ranked Guardian more quickly.
Yay!
That's really cool.
So those of us that have multiple characters, i.e. all of us in the podcast, it certainly will make grinding all of the characters up easier. The rewards will also cost less Glimmer. So
Yay!
Fantastic.
So now we're not having to spend,
More for less.
2 solid days in the exclusion zone.
Which, by the way,
sometimes I spend more time in the exclusion zone
I know.
than in the
Like
Iron Banner.
You get
itself.
there,
right?
you buy your 2 rewards, and you're like, oh god, I need to buy 2 more rewards. And 2 hours later, you
Am I the only person that saves up the little consumables that you can get for Glimmer?
I do that as well.
Yeah, I don't cash those in.
I've been saving those for a long time.
Oh yeah, and then so for Iron Banner, and then you have 25,000 Glimmer plus. At one point, I had another 25,000 in those little consumables.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I've had over 100K.
Oh my goodness, you're an animal.
Wow. And those amethysts apparently drop
Yep,
from
I've
chests
had
now.
2 drop from the
Yeah.
chest. Why they couldn't be treasure keys, I don't know. But hey, I have 5,000 Glimmer now. Yay. Some other changes. The gunsmith has inherited Lord Saladin's weapon reforging service. So you no longer go to Lord Salad to get your weapons reforged. So you do all that at the gunsmith now. The power still does matter in Iron Banner, and it's going to be a little bit more interesting now that there's 2 more levels added. So if you were level 32 before, or if you're level 32 and you haven't gotten to level 34 yet, you're probably going to get hit a little bit harder now. And I can tell you from running Trials of Osiris, if you're below level 32, it's going to be a rough time for you.
And I also want to point out to everybody who used the Fellwinter's shotgun. And now there's the Matador, and there's
Party Crasher.
Any Party Crasher, and there's about 4 shotguns that you can roll or get as a drop in the House of Wolves that are equivalent, if not like a shade better.
Yeah, the slightly better rate of fire usually.
Your reign in Iron Banner is over. And I want to wish you a speedy death.
And then finally, the Cauldron and Pantheon have been added to the normal playlist for Iron Banner.
Yeah.
And then if you play on PlayStation,
awesome.
we have
Yay.
Exodus Blue as well. By the way, Dreg's Promise, the new exotic sidearm, sucks on Pantheon. it's too big of a map. It's too big of a map.
On a side note, Queenbreaker's bow is pretty awesome on Pantheon.
So
Interesting.
So that's something I wanted to pick your brain about. How do you like, or how did
Sure.
you like Queenbreaker's bow? I haven't got a chance
I liked
to
it a
watch
lot.
your review.
I liked it a lot. It's going to be the first weapon I
Really?
pick once I finally get an Elder Cipher.
Wow.
Yeah, it's it's not going to be for everybody.
Okay.
It still requires a charge rate, and it does not have hit scan, so there's actual bullet velocity that you have to account for when you're shooting targets and all that. But it has a ridiculous amount of ammo.
Really?
I mean, you spawn with 18 shots, and each crate of ammo gives you 14 shots.
Wow.
Yeah, it can hold 55 without any
Wow,
help from any armor.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's kind of crazy. But it's on the same fire rate as No Land Beyond, if you account for the
Gotcha.
charge rate. You know, and the in the combat scope kind of feels like No Land Beyond scope as well, or the amount of zoom. So it's a lot of fun. Like, I miss it right now. I wish I had it because I'm not going to give up Thorn or Hawkmoon or the Last Word if the match really counts, you know? But it's a great weapon to have fun with. It changes things up, and I think that's pretty refreshing.
Yeah, I ran into someone with it today, and their team was they did work on us. Like they were the I did a bunch of salvage today, and they were the only team that beat us. This one guy had Queenbreaker's bow, and my entire team, including me, were like, "Oh my god, he is just wrecking us with it." He was landing headshots left and right. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, you have to get used to the charge rate to it, and you do have to account for the time it has to travel. So long range snipes, you're either gonna lose if you're up against an equal skilled sniper, and yeah, so you just have to count for those things. It's also got fantastic hip fire, which is really cool.
Interesting.
So you can snipe somebody and then do a 180 and hip fire them, and then chuck a throwing knife, and get the kill.
I like that reference there.
You're talking Patrick's language.
I can kill people with throwing knives with it. Okay.
Well, a body shot with the combat scope does 152 damage. So,
not bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's not a one-shot fusion rifle, but it's also a sniper rifle with a ton of ammo.
There's two different scopes for it. What exactly do they do?
Yeah. So the original scope that it comes with, or the very first scope that you have unlocked with it, has higher impact damage and longer charge rates and slower reload speed. And then, and also the zoom is more like the ambush scope. When you switch to the combat scope on it, you have less of a zoom, so it's more like I said, no ambient. And then the charge rate is faster. It's more like Peyron's fire. Okay. And then the range goes down and the reload speed goes up a little bit. And that's honestly my pick for PvP, because both of them are 2 to the body and 1 to the head, regardless of the scope and impact.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Hidden Hand is the final perk on there. So it's got hip fire
and Hidden Hand.
And then, and it's got Flared Magwell, it's got Single Point Sling, and it's got Send It. And for me, Single Point Sling was the best one for PvP. Okay. And the Hidden Hand, Hidden Hand is hit or miss, because it's a fusion rifle, so sometimes you want to lead your shot, and the Hidden Hand thing will correct it back to the head.
That's one thing that I'm interested about that perk, is it's not hit scan, so why would it have target acquisition? Because usually you have to almost lead your targets. That's why I was so frustrated with Vestian Dynasty and Dreg's Promise. Is my crosshair is very much on that person's head. I'm looking at the footage, and I hit it, and the bullet goes just to the left of him. It's aggravating.
So that will absolutely happen with Queenbreaker's bow. It happened quite a few times, so it's very noticeable when you're in a laggy match. So you do have to go with those things, but again, you have freaking 18 bullets that you spawn with. and it's a special. It doesn't take up a primary,
What's like the weapon swap times on it? Are they pretty quick?
Yeah, Single Point Sling makes it go really fast.
So I could toss on like a scout rifle and then that, and
easily
hit someone with that, swap to scout rifle, pop them. Okay.
Yeah, at the time when I was doing on the account that I was using, which was Innocence. Thank you very much, Innocence, for letting me use the account. Yeah, he had all I had was like a Fatebringer that I could use at the time, but I could just switch to a Fatebringer and pop him in the head with it, which was nice. A lot of times though, I was trying to focus on kills with just the bow, so I would body shot and then try to pick up again. But you should really just body shot and then switch immediately if that's what happens.
Okay. Or
if you don't get the critical,
pop someone and body shot later.
Yeah, and also if they're getting team shot, then 152 damage. That's pretty much kill them.
It's a wonderful team shot weapon.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But again, if you go up head to head against somebody, and they're a sniper, the charge time and the bullet travel time will cause problems. So just pay attention to that. If they're good at strafing, then they're going to easily strafe out of your shot. So it's best to flank with. That's from my experience, anyways.
Okay, so it's definitely one I want to try out.
Oh, it's so much fun. Yeah. I want one. I want it bad.
Yeah, that one, and like Dreg's Promise was cool to use. I liked it. I liked all the aesthetics of it. I liked just messing around with it. It's a fun weapon, but at the end of the day, it just didn't do enough for me to like warrant its exotic status. It's pretty much a cross between a fusion rifle and a shotgun. It it did that close range work pretty well. It had some long range stuff, and then it felt like a fusion rifle as far as the damage output is. Instead of like charging and then releasing one blast, you just pull the trigger 3 times, and that would equate to like a fusion rifle.
How much range does it have?
Not much at all. In PvE,
Not much.
In PvE, it had pretty decent range, but in PvP, it was pretty much the range of a fusion rifle, like the lower end of a fusion rifle's range.
Okay, yeah.
Would you rather use it or the Vestian Dynasty?
If I had to use a sidearm, I'd use Vestian Dynasty just so I would have an exotic slot freed up. And Vestian Dynasty does 50 to the body, whereas Dreg's Pride does 40. So if you happen to only hit like one round of your burst, you only did 40 damage. That happened quite a lot, actually. It was like the range was really buggy, or the hit scan was off, so you would only land one round of your burst on someone, which was usually disappointing, and you would die.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of these weapons that are not hit scan have those issues in the Crucible.
And Lord of Wolves is probably not a hit scan weapon as well.
No, I don't think it, because it fires 4 or 5 of those bolts at the same time. It did not feel hit scan. So the interesting thing about Lord of Wolves is it's got this pulse rifle thing going on with it. So you trick yourself into wanting to aim like a pulse rifle. But when you aim down sights on a shotgun, the speed of the aim down sights is tuned to a shotgun. So you can do a 180 really fast. And it's really weird. Like, you're trying to do pulse rifle aiming, yet to get a headshot, because you want to do headshots with that thing. But you have the speed of a shotgun movement. You know, it's in a weird place right now. It's a fantastic shotgun, but it is a little weird initially when you first use it.
I can't wait to actually pick all these exotic weapons up.
I wasn't lucky last week, and I won't be lucky this week, because I don't think I'm gonna be able to get back on Monday and do them.
Are you streaming later tonight, Tefty?
You know what? I think I'm not gonna be streaming. So sorry everybody who wanted to see me stream, and then I was listening to this and find out that I didn't stream. I just have too many things that I had to take care of.
What do you guys think about how they have a daily kind of reward system for the Crucible?
I love it.
I'm really enjoying going in there on a daily basis, at least playing 1 or 2 matches, getting those coins for next week's Trials of Osiris,
right,
and then dipping out. And it seems like there's a lot more activity in the Crucible.
I'm going to be the highbrow one here and say I don't need those coins because I got 9-0 on all of my cards. So I have over 50 coins now. No, but seriously, it's like, I love getting Trials coins. It's definitely nice for getting those boons on all 3 characters.
They're definitely piling up.
They're piling up. Hopefully they can maybe introduce them to use them for something else as well.
Maybe you could trade them for special ammo.
Oh, dude.
Really
Maybe I could trade them to get rid of my special ammo. I'd do that too.
Brother Vance, please take the special ammo.
I will pay you to take the special ammo. Here's these coins that you like so much.
So have we reached a point in Destiny that there's too much to do on a weekly basis?
I think we're close, because I didn't touch the raids last week.
I didn't either. I didn't touch them. I want to go back to Crota and give him a little bit of what for.
Oh, no. So let me tell you, like, a buddy of mine messaged me and said, hey, I'm soloing Crota. You want to jump in and help me beat him on hard, right? And we're like, we couldn't get anybody else. And he goes, well, you're a 34, right? And I was leveling up some gear. So I said, yeah, I can be a 34. So I switched over to my 34, and he's like, okay, so we'll just try to take him down like this. And they were both 33s. And 2 Galahorn rounds, 1 Galahorn round each, brought down Crota hard. And then on the first sword as a 34, I got him down to almost the point in which you would enrage him. And it wasn't that hard for me to take him down in 2 swords. I think if I had really been efficient, maybe even had some bubbles up there, some orbs up there, I probably could have taken him down easily in 1 sword.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yep. It's fun.
That guy's got it coming.
Oh, he's got it. No, I don't feel bad for him. He's going down.
Yeah, I'm interested in trying that. I haven't had a chance. I only did a few raids with 2 systems. If you think 1 system is difficult, juggling 2 systems on the rewards is a little exhausting.
It's going to be difficult next week when we have Iron Banner. So it's like, oh my god, I'm just going to wait until the weekend so I can get the Mode of Light buff to make it even easier.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be Iron Bannering right at the start.
Are you guys grinding hard to get Etheric Light? Because that's the only reason I could think of to do the Iron Banner because I have all the gear I want out of it.
Mm-hmm.
You get so much etheric light from going 9 and 0
seriously, man.
on trials.
I was thinking like, man, it's gonna take me 2 weeks to get to 34 and everything. Nope, trials. I completed the first card.
Look, you elitists. All right.
Well, say what's so hard about it. Just, get a sniper rifle, shoot him in the head. There you go.
Right. So the reality is a lot of people were not able to get that 9 and 0 card.
Let me look at the stats real quick from the start of it. Like, okay, so there were almost 3.8 million trials matches played. There were 118 million kills. There were only 188,000 players that actually were able to visit Mercury that went 9 and 0. That's a very high number, but I mean, think about it. A lot of people probably played Trials of Osiris. We still don't have an exact number.
I'd love to. Yeah, that's what I'd love to know.
I want to know the exact percentage of people that played Trials and people that got to Mercury, and then how many of those people were cheaters, so we can
burn them at the stake.
Just much.
Well, I think if people who did not know Bungie's swiftness with the banhammer
they are
in
quick.
PvP, they are quick, and so it was we got a little warning in the weekly update, and I think that with this being a network-based game and not a console game, where you're matchmaking on the console, but you've got these a lot of it's done through server-side software. It's much easier for them to detect that kind of manipulation. And that's good. So I think that there's, after trials, when I think is the first time people really had the desire to start lag switching and doing other things like that. I think it was actually a buddy of mine who was playing with some of the guys from Bungie, and
it was Miss 5,000 Watts. Was
she the one telling us the story?
It was Watts, Ian, and TK Bling. And they were all, and TK Bling works for Bungie, so they encountered one of those lag switching DDoSers, and it's like, well, that's probably the absolute worst team you could do that to, because he's just got to go like, pick up the phone, hey, yeah, okay, it's XX no scope 360, yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Bye.
literally, they sent him a message and said, that's unfortunate that you felt like you needed to do that. We'll talk to you on Monday. and then they spent the rest of like the night like messaging, trying to say, oh no, we weren't doing. But it's very obvious on the server side to see when somebody's doing that.
Oh yeah, and definitely.
So, it's very easy to detect, and it's very you're gonna get depending on how much you do it, you're either gonna just skip the temporary ban, and you're gonna go straight to a permaban. The best way to go 9 and 0 is to buy the boons, right, and practice with your teammates, get some good guys to work with, teach you about Crucible, and do it legit. That's the best way of getting
work for your rewards. Don't be a dick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
unless you're
sure,
just burning skulls.
Yeah,
and it's okay.
Gallahorn skulls.
Exactly.
It's completely fine.
I'm pretty sure Bungie. I'm pretty sure Bungie has like a report that gets sent out like on these games, like a summary of the data that happens in the network, and they see this report, and it's very easy for them to see when the activity dropped and there's strange things happening in the network packet. So if you guys think you can fool Bungie, it's not going to happen. My
thing is like,
they're going to catch it.
The people that are doing the cheating is like, you realize that everyone on Xbox One and PlayStation 4 has a capture card built into their console. All they have to do is hit share or say Xbox record that. That's all they have to do, and you're caught.
Well, there's a lot of...
Back in the Halo days, Bungie would console ban you, so it's not like you could just make a new account.
They still do that now.
Log back in.
Yeah.
They would make sure that console can never access Bungie servers again.
And that's the thing with the PlayStation Store's use policy, the acceptable use policy. If you affect the network, if you're DDoSing through the network, they can ban your console. They can ban your MAC address, and and it's something that they've threatened to do. I don't know if they've already started to do that yet, but with as important as Bungie is to their success as a console, I think that they would be doing that quite liberally if it becomes a problem.
Oh, yeah. All right, guys, that was the end of I think that was the 19th Planet Destiny podcast. We had a brief appearance from Varix, so I hope you enjoyed that. And this has been Patrick Casey with Planet Destiny. If you want to find me, you can go to @Holtzman_PD on Twitter, or just respond in the YouTube comment, and I generally read them for the first week.
This is Briar Rabbit. You can find me at Real Briar Rabbit on the Twitter.
This has been Tefty Teft. You can find me at Teft on Twitter and my own YouTube channel as well, Tefty Teft Games.
And this has been Pope Bear. You can find me on Twitter at Pope Bear. And we're also all of us are streaming on the Planet Destiny Twitch channel, as well as our own channels. I'm not doing that. I'm just streaming on the Planet Destiny channel, so you can come and hang out in the chat and talk to me there.
And before we do sign off, guys, I did want to mention very briefly that we just hit 250,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. We are at 250,000. So, brief round of applause there, guys. It's been a long 8-month journey or so to actually get to this point, but it has been an incredibly fun ride. Thank you to everyone that's joined up on the podcast to help us get there. Thank you to all of you listening. Thank you if you have subscribed. Thank you if you just simply tuned in and this is your first time listening. We really, really do appreciate it. As always, we will see you next week, guys.